Hello again. It's my pleasure to be with James Wright. He's got the right stuff, so I like to say about him. But this great gentleman has served with 3 different congressmen. He started with Lee Terry, then Brad Ashford, and then he's been on our team. So he's been a bipartisan leader in the District 2 with 3 different congressional offices. But I wanted to ask James today to tell us about your experience on 9/11 in 2001.
Well, it was obviously a scary time for everybody, but it was my first day on the Hill in Washington, D.C. I had been working for Lee Terry for a short time, and they needed some help out in D.C., and so I showed up bright and early, took my desk, and Lee's office was in the Longworth building where your office is in, and it had a corner office, and you could sort of actually see out towards the Pentagon, and there was a TV on, and the first plane hit, and it didn't seem to create much buzz, but then when the second plane hit, obviously there was a lot of concern that this was an intentional terrorist attack or some sort of attack, and then there was concerns about another plane, and it started evacuating the Hill. But what really amazed me about that day was all the people on the Hill and their dedication to serving their constituents. Phones were ringing off the hook, and they were all, Democrats, Republicans, all the offices on the Hill were trying to find the best way to serve their constituents at that time.
I imagine after the second building was hit, and then the Pentagon, I said now there's a realization that Washington, D.C. Could be hit, and the Capitol was a very viable, likely threat for the 4th airplane.
Yes.
And I know there was a lot of tensions, but did you realize that when that 4th plane was potentially targeting the Capitol?
Well, there had been some talk about what was coming, and that the Capitol, if the Pentagon was hit, that the Capitol was a target, and they started to evacuate everybody, and to see everybody clear out, and to come out into the streets and see the thousands of people, all with their cell phones reaching to the sky. One of the interesting things, if anybody said anything on their phone and it looked like they got a signal, like the whole crowd would shift, like that was the magic spot to get a signal. But then everybody sort of set up these makeshift offices, like in Lee's office. We went to one of my colleagues' apartment who wasn't too far away from the Hill, and we set up an office there and started calling constituents that we could reach with our cell phones and start making a plan. Lee, at the time, went to make sure that his family was safe, and then immediately started to make his way back, because one of the other great things for me to see how our government operates in these times was to see all these congressmen return and stand on the steps of the Capitol and say, hey, we won't be scared, we won't be bullied, and that we will work together to find solutions to make sure that our country is safe.
So it's a reminder that after 9/11, our country did come together, and we had a unified purpose. We had an enemy that was clear. They would stop at nothing to murder, and really they wanted to destroy our financial sector, and they wanted to target the heart of our capital. And it was time that brought us together. So we'll just go back, as we look back on 9/11, we remember that almost 3,000 people died that day from terrorism. And we know that since then, many of our servicemen and women and State Department, CIA, have fought or put in hostile areas in Iraq and Afghanistan, and many gave the ultimate sacrifice. So we remember those who lost their lives today on 9/11, those great folks who served our country since then, who are in harm's way, and remember the families who lost a loved one. Thank you.